All right. Well, hello, everybody. We didn't use the timer this time. See, I tricked you, Larry. We are here this morning. It's Dattitude, Friday morning, September the 22nd, episode number 170. We are previewing Saints at Packers. We're going to be talking about NFL Week 3 and our favorite matchups of the week. Larry's going to be, just raving about how all the picks that he got right last week against when we were button heads against one another. That's going to be coming up in a little bit. Larry Holder of The Athletic is with me. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Look, I didn't get them all right.
No, you did.
I got a couple right.
Yeah.
A couple. Like the Falcons, particularly. Falcons.
Yeah, Falcons. Are you going to get the Falcons right this week? We're going to find out. Again, we're going to talk about NFL Week 3. That's coming up. But we got to start with Saints-Packers. You see the rankings on the screen. You see the stat leaders on the screen. Larry, what do you see in this matchup? I find it a very intriguing matchup. The first time this year, the Saints are underdogs, and I kind of don't understand why they're underdogs.
Well, I think that people feel like the Saints offensively, look, when you can't put up points and you're going on the road, I think that makes sense. And look, I can boast about my successful heads up 1-point win for the Falcons that I got right in the last 2 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
The Green Bay had looked like they were going to win that game. And it's, to me, it comes down to A, that the Saints are playing at Lambeau, and B, that I feel like it's a pretty even matchup. Even though Jordan Love's numbers are very good, I feel like they're very deceiving. And yet I feel like the Packers on defense, some of the numbers that you're showing there, I think their defense is actually better than advertised. And so I feel like going into this game, it's not like the Saints have been super efficient on offense. And I'm going to predict a low-scoring game once again until the Saints offense actually proves it can put up points on the board, and other teams can prove that they can actually score more proficiently than they have against the Saints defense. So I get the tight spread, and I get that Green Bay is favored by just a smidge. So I feel like that this is definitely kind of one of those nail-biter games.
Jim Derry along with Larry Holder here on this Friday morning, as we are every Friday at 10 a.m. on all of these NOLA.com and bet.NOLA.com social media channels, talking about whoever the Saints are playing that week. What are we going to do when the Saints have a bye week? Maybe we'll all just sleep for a week. Who knows?
I don't get that luxury.
Larry covers the whole NFL.
I don't get a bye week. I'm not off till the Super Bowl's over.
Well, technically, neither am I. So, but we'll see how maybe we can sneak a nap in. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it works. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them. If you are watching on Facebook or YouTube, just go ahead and type them in the comment stream. We'll get them. We'll put them up on the screen. You got about half an hour or so before we go off the air. We already had a couple comments, and one of them, Uncle Big Nick's here. He was on the show yesterday. You don't need to tell us you're here. We know you're here. We thank you for watching, Uncle Big Nick. We'll see how many of his picks are right this week. He's doing a lot of college stuff. I know you're the NFL guy, but you got to love the college weekend that's coming up with the FSU Clemson and Ohio State Notre Dame, and Coach Prime's going his first real test against Oregon, and a lot of smack talk there. Alabama, Ole Miss. Do you watch football on Saturdays?
Yeah, I feel very fortunate that I am completely off. In terms of The Athletic, I'm technically off today, but look, I love you, Jim, so I've got to do you a solid. But Saturday I'm off. So, look, I'm looking forward to sitting back watching for sure. I think this is going to be quite an intriguing weekend all over the place, and it's something that if you want to kind of get a head start on draft prospects with the way the matchups are this weekend, it's a good one to watch. So, yeah, I'm definitely going to sit back. Kind of enjoy it all, and then watch what our draft gurus think of all the prospects and all the games that are going on.
It's funny how all of our lives has changed, and the way we do our jobs have changed, because actually even in the 2 years that I've done this now, my shift is now towards I'm basically just writing about the NFL as well, even when it's the off season, and that's where I'm going now. So I'm kind of the pseudo facto NFL sports betting writer. Even when the season's over, there's all kinds of draft stuff to write about as well. So That's where we are these days. JJ says he's got to watch those sketchy, quote unquote, fixed games like the Rams last week. I don't know if you're if I don't know how much of sports betting is into your mindset. I know you do a picks column and you write about, you make picks in the NFL. But did you notice that last week? Did you hear about this with San Francisco and the Rams last week?
I heard about it from actually one of our editors he's the editor for our Rams coverage. And so he brought it up. Like, I didn't realize that them kicking the field goal would cause a bunch of mass chaos in betting land. I did think it was just odd. I didn't actually catch McVay's explanation. I know he was asked about it, and I don't know.
He knew nothing. He said he knew nothing about it. He just knew. I mean, what would you know? I mean, why would you run up and spike the ball down 10 with 4 seconds left to kick a field goal? I don't get it.
I don't know why you wouldn't go for the touchdown. Like,
neither do I.
Do that. I don't get it. Yeah,
and if you're gonna kick the field goal, so I mean, I guess I was trying to explain this to my son. If you're gonna kick the field goal, I guess I get it, because then you could onside kick and then have one more play or two more plays. But you do that the play before when there's still like 20 seconds left.
Right. You're out of time.
Exactly. With 20 seconds left, I could understand it. You kick a field goal from the, it's a 52-yard field goal the play before, but they go up and try to get more yards. They don't have any timeouts left. They go up and spike it. It made no sense. And it makes, it makes my job harder, because there are people out there. Obviously, there are skeptics who think that, sports betting is infiltrating and ruining things. I mean, and I understand why people would think that in cases like that. So, I mean, it makes you wonder. It makes you, like I said last week on Monday's show, things that make you go, And that's,
do you think the NFL scripted that Aaron Rodgers would tear his Achilles 4 plays?
Absolutely not.
And ruin like half of their TV schedule because you can't flex out of some of these Jets games yet?
I don't think. Look, I will say this, and it pisses me off, because Saints fans think that the NFL hates their team. I mean, we go through this like multiple times per year. And I have, it's funny, because whenever I start talking about this, we lose viewers. I know you can't see how many people are watching at one time, but whenever I like piss off Saints fans, because I say the NFL's not fixed. They don't give a rat's ass about the Saints one way or the other. They like New Orleans. They keep coming back here for the Super Bowl. There they go. They're dropping off. They don't want to hear me say that. They can't stand. Yeah. They can't stand the fact that I say that. All right, back to Saints Packers. I've ranted long enough. This one thing that I find interesting about this, and you look at these numbers, and Jordan Love, he's got 396 yards compared to Carr's 533, but he's got 6 touchdown passes. Carr's only got 1. What gives there, Larry?
Well, that's the thing with some of these deceiving numbers. You look at Jordan Love, he leads the NFL in passer rating right now, 118. So basically, he's able to hit big plays and make them happen, because guess what? He's only been completing 56% of his passes.
Right.
So, and you look at one of the metrics that I use a lot, and you kind of see floating around a lot in coverage these days. It's EPA, and that's expected points added. And it's really a metric. And look, I'm telling you, it's pretty spot on. Like it kind of shows, but between passer rating, like it kind of uncovers, like shows myths around the league. But basically, when Love gets it done, he gets it done. He's number 2 in the NFL in EPA because of the 6 touchdowns compared to no interceptions and that sort of thing. So, he's really boom or bust, it kind of seems like right now. And I feel like with Carr, the numbers are not great. Like, they were actually pretty good leaving week 1 in terms of that EPA rate I just mentioned. But now he's more toward the bottom of the league. His passer rating is more resembling of what he was doing with the Raiders. He's got to feel very fortunate that he's not playing with a Raiders defense, because the team he would be on would be 0-2. Yeah. So I feel like you look at it in that sense, the receivers are certainly helping him out. I mean, they're making tremendous catches, all of them. So I feel like Carr has to feel pretty fortunate. But on the same side, pass rushes, their opposing pass rush against has been tough. I'm sure you're still hammering Trevor Penning.
I have a viewer question about that as we speak. And JJ writes his question is a little bit too long from the screen. It like might cover our faces. It's so long. But I mean, basically the gist of it is he and I have been kind of going back and forth on Twitter, and I disagree. He's talking about Pete Carmichael and the left side of the line. I think that Pete Carmichael has actually done a pretty good job this year so far. I gave him a lot of grief last year. I had some bad names that I called him. Nothing, vulgar or anything, but it was pretty bad. I mean, if I were him or his kids or his wife, I'd probably be pissed off at me. But I think in all fairness, I think he's done a pretty good job so far this year. I think they've done a really nice job trying to get Carr away from the weak side of their line, which is the left side, which is not good. But that being said, I do agree that the fact of I think they've got to do something with Trevor Penning and more than just giving him help over there. I mean, I don't understand, and you can tell me if you disagree. Why isn't Hurst playing left tackle and Pete playing left guard? And you just pull Penning, and maybe you put him in again at some point. And I get it that he's a first-round draft pick, but he's killing you.
Well, you're also 2-0, so you're not going to really change it. And he, like you said, he's your first-round pick. He barely played last year. Some of this is going to be growing pains. Teron Armstead was not great.
That's true.
Early.
That's
true.
He
wasn't. And he was pulled. He replaced a pulled Charles Brown, and
Correct.
Charles Brown wasn't great, and he lasted about 13 games.
But wasn't he also a first-round pick?
He was a second-round pick.
Second-round pick, okay.
But no, you got to give him time. I mean, that's just what it is. Sorry, too bad. You got to give him time. And I feel like here's the thing: like the Saints aren't running the football well either. So I think that's if you can get a running game going, and who knows if that's going to start this week. Probably not likely given who you got running.
Miller, yeah,
and Tony Jones. I mean, and look and you mentioned Pete Carmichael. Look, the fact that you're having a patchwork, something going on in the backfield, and like Taysom Hill's having to run the football a lot more than probably you actually want. I mean, the fact that you're scratching and clawing and pass pressure, like this is not Pete Carmichael. Like, but Penning, he's going to be the guy. Too bad. I mean, you might see his struggles, and you're not going to replace the first round pick in basically year one of the start. Not happening. Sorry.
So if he continues to play as he's played, now the Saints have allowed 8 sacks. I have not gone through the complete game film, but just judging by, and I've seen every play this year, just judging by what I've seen, I think Penning's responsible for 5 of those 8 sacks. So if he continues to allow, and I mean, that's a pretty awful number. You're allowing 2.5 sacks a game thus far, and it's only week 3. But if he continues to allow 2.5 sacks a game, you're telling me that you think that they'll just stick with him anyway.
Well, I don't think he's going to do that. I also think that going up against Tennessee is tough. Going up against Carolina is tough. Like they're not slouches. So I feel like that's part of where we are there too. And now this week, look, the Packers, I could tell you right now, they only have 5 sacks, but they're number 2 in pressure percentage in the NFL. The Cowboys are 1, Packers are 2, Saints are 3. So they pressure the quarterback. Now, I will tell you this. I'm pulling up the stat service we use for pressure percentage, left tackle. Remember last week we had Trevor Penning as the most pressure. Now, overall through 2 weeks, he's number 3.
Oh, so he's moved from worst to third worst.
Right. So progress. He's given up 3 sacks this year. That's what we have him. So 1.5 a game is what he's allowed 10 pressures, 3 sacks. I mean, his pressure percentage is terrible. Like like the average is 5.6 among left tackles. He's given up 12.7.
Maybe next week,
more than double.
Maybe next week he could be 5th worst. That would be really fun.
Progress.
Chris Lundy says Penning needs to go to guard. You can't do that. I mean, Penning's not a guard. He's a tackle. So, I mean, he's either going to play left tackle or he's not going to play. So, I mean, I'm not trying to, diss what you're saying, Chris, but that's just the fact. It's like, it would be like moving Kendra Miller to wide receiver. That's not what he is. They're 2 completely different positions. You block completely differently. If you notice, there are only a handful of offensive linemen that are as versatile like James Hurst, who can play multiple positions on the offensive line.
That is rare.
It really is. I mean, and either like Cesar Ruiz is really a center who's playing guard.
He was the best center coming out in the draft, and they've had to shoehorn him at guard all these years
because of Eric McCoy. I
because
mean,
of McCoy, right?
yeah, I mean, so it is what it is. I mean, but I don't think Penning can play guard is part of with that. He's not versatile at all. Chris is here. He says, "Who dat?" You know, I have the problem I have is, and I understand they're 2-0. He's getting better, but I mean, and you say he's not going to give up these sacks, but what makes you think that? I mean, to me, if you give up 4 sacks in the first game, you give up 4 sacks. It's not just the sacks that he gives up. There are times when he doesn't give up a sack. Carr gets hit, he gets the pass off, and Penning's just standing there, kind of looking over at his quarterback, like, "Oops, I'm sorry." I mean, that just doesn't work.
But it's not all Penning. Like that's the thing. I could tell you pressure percentage wise, Eric McCoy's is up higher than it's ever been, really. So it's not just Penning. Like you can't just put it all on him. There's a lot of it. It's far more noticeable for the guy you're zeroing in on, and B, the left tackle. Like if a guard gives it up, you're not seeing it as much. Like I'm doing this real time. I'm looking up all of our stats. James Hurst is basically average at left guard. 5.1% pressure percentage. That's the average for left guards. I know, like I said, because I looked up. I was just curious. I looked up McCoy's, and his rates are higher than normal. Ramchek's playing well. I can tell you on that side of the football. And then, all right,
Ruiz got to be about average.
I'll just keep rambling, but I can look this up real quick. Right guard and see where he is.
Well, while you're saying that, Chris had another suggestion, and look, I'm not trying to. You're throwing him up there, so I told you I would put him on the screen, and I'm going to explain why you can't do this. Move McCoy to guard and put Ruiz back to center. You can't do that. Eric McCoy is one of the best centers in the league. I mean, he really is. I mean, and we talked to Mike Detillier about a month ago, and Mike talks about, to me, the second most important position on a football team is left tackle. Well, for Mike Detillier, it's center, and I can completely understand that. And he was just raving. You talk about all the good Saints teams. Every Saints team that has ever been good, and he's 100% right about this, has had a top 10 center. And I
can rattle them off right now. Jeff Fain, Jonathan Goodwin, Max Unger, look, McCoy, when you had good centers. Yeah. When you didn't, those were
not good.
7 and 9 years. And
absolutely.
I found up Ruiz is above average on the good side. Like his 3.8 pressure percentage, the league average is 5.1. So it's look, is it Penning? Yes. Is it? But also McCoy is not. It's his rate isn't high, but it's higher than normal, and not great for a center.
Well, we know that at the end of the season, that Eric McCoy is going to be.
I agree. I'm just telling you. Look, you can't. Actually, McCoy's pressure percentage is terrible. 7.6%, and average for a center is 3.9. Not good at all.
No, but in his defense, I will say this: he's probably having to like snap the ball and kind of shift over to his left.
You're saying what it is.
No, and I understand that, and I agree. But you would also agree. You've covered this team. I mean, you haven't covered them the last couple of years, but you've covered this team long enough to know that Eric McCoy, when they drafted him, that they were expecting him, and he has been the stalwart at center that everyone thought he would be. Sean Payton thought he would be.
No, so much so where I remember Sean Payton's strategy going into the draft with Ruiz. He's like, I just want to draft the best interior lineman I can.
Yeah.
And we're going to play him at guard because McCoy is there to stay.
We did not expect this to be a offensive line show. We just kind of go wherever the comments take us and kind of wherever our conversation takes us. And today, I've talked a lot about Trevor Penning. I haven't been as harsh on him this week probably as I've been, but I mean, and we'll see if it does.
Technically it did.
Okay. He went from worst to third to worst. So absolutely it has. You look at the Saints rankings on offense, they've gone above it. I mean, I think Derek Carr, except for, I think he's made 3 really bad passes in 2 games. 2 of them were interceptions, and one was that in that first game, he kind of threw into the turf on 3rd down when I thought he might have had a touchdown play, kind of rolled out to his left a little bit, and I think maybe released it a little bit early. But both the interceptions that he's had, he's told you they were boneheaded throws. He admitted to them. He knows. I mean, it is what it is. So, but you see the Saints are 8th in passing, despite the fact that he's been pressured as much, and despite the fact that he's been sacked 8 times. So I think that, here you go, Chris, we can agree to disagree, because I think Derek Carr has been phenomenal. I think he's been a breath of fresh air and exactly what the Saints need. I don't understand why.
Phenomenal might be a stretch
Compared to what the Saints have had a quarterback since Breeze left.
Oh, man. No, he's been good.
We'll see what Andy Dalton does this week.
How about this? He's been good enough.
We'll see what Andy Dalton does for the Panthers this week. Ruben's
That's
asking,
not a fair comparison.
Ruben's asking, we kind of talked about this in the beginning. Why are the Packers favored over the Saints this time? I will say this as the sports betting writer. I guess this is my expertise. Basically, what this line is telling us at 1.5, and it started at 2, so it's dropped. Big money has come in on the Saints, which has dropped this line. But I will tell you that they're saying that the Saints are slightly, and I mean ever so slightly better, because on a neutral field with a 1.5-point spread, it means the Saints would be about a 1-point favorite on a neutral field. It means in the dome, they'd be anywhere from 3 to 3.5-point favorite in the dome. So the odds makers are telling you that the Saints are a little bit better, but not enough to be better, not enough to be favored on the road at Lambeau. That doesn't mean that I think the Packers are going to win. I'm just explaining to you why the Packers are favored. I don't agree with the line. I think the Saints should be favored. We'll get to our picks in a little bit on this. We are going to move on to we're going to save our Saints pick for last, like we were supposed to do last week and didn't. But in just a minute, we're going to move on to the NFL Week 3, our top matchups, and then we'll finish with Saints. If you look to this week, we never really talked about the defense, the Saints defense, which you want to talk about improving over the course of 2 weeks. I mean, we already knew they were good, and they're 4th ranked. And again, rankings after 2 weeks, what do they mean? But I think in this case, man, the Saints defense, if anything, they're underrated. I mean, I think they've been obviously showing that they can be a top 5 defense throughout the course of this year. Maybe not as good as Dallas, but pretty darn close.
Tennessee's offense isn't very good.
That's true.
Neither is Carolina's.
Also true.
So, but still, you still got to play who you play, and they played lights out. And so, look, I'll give you have some of these rankings. I've got even more impressive rankings. Saints opposing passer rating, they're number 2 in the NFL. And then they are number 3, as I alluded to, in pressure rate in terms of getting to the passer, 3rd in the NFL there. And then what was a weakness has become solid to good. They're 12th in a stat we call defensive rush success rate. So they're 12th best in the NFL in terms of run success rate. So the fact you're able to slow down the run, you improved there, and then you're shutting down quarterbacks who need to be shut down. Like Ryan Tannehill, his passer rating in the Week 2 win jumped by 100 points.
Yep.
Like it was 28.2 or something, and then it jumped 100 points in the win against the Chargers.
Yeah.
But you're shutting down who you need to shut down. So I do feel like that this is a huge test for Green Bay, especially given that, look, Bakhtiari's banged up, Aaron Jones banged up,
Christian Watson, yep,
banged up, and Jordan Love with all of that and going against defense that are okay, 55% completion percentage. And Week 1, he leaned on Aaron Jones a ton. So this is, to me, is definitely a big test for Green Bay to see if they can move the ball against a good defense, even without some pieces. I don't know if Jones is going to play, and I don't know if Watson's going to play. One might not. Both might sit. So if the Saints could run into some good timing in terms of that.
Now, Watson's trending, looking like he's going to play. I would be surprised actually if Aaron Jones plays. I think the way he pulled up a couple of weeks ago in that Week 1 game, you don't want to mess with someone like that. So
he's too vital for this team this year.
Agreed.
You can't mess with that.
Agreed. And he's had his issues in the past. Our old colleague, our friend Jeff Duncan, was talking about on Final Bet last night. that the Saints being 2-0 is kind of like Lanyap. He expected them to lose one of the first 2 games. And honestly, I kind of did too. I said in the beginning, if they could jump out to a 4-2 start, that the way that this schedule lines up for them, I think if they're 4-2, they're head and shoulders the favorite in this division, no matter what the other teams are doing, in my opinion. So to have a chance to start 3-0, Larry, I think for this team, with playing again, you played a home opener last week for Carolina. They were able to get through that. If they're somehow able to get through this Green Bay home opener and start 3-0, and then you come back for Tampa Bay, sets up great for this team.
Yeah, because I feel like both Tennessee and Carolina were going to be toss-up games just because of the nature of the teams they're playing.
Yeah.
Just where they were offensively trying to kind of get it together. And both games ended up kind of being a bit of a toss-up. Maybe Carolina not as much because late, and then the score got tighter later, kind of the garbage touchdown. But still, it was tight basically the whole time. So, I mean, those games played out basically how I thought. But then in the moment, I felt like, and look, both weeks I could tell you I picked the Saints to win. So in the moment, I felt that the Saints were on good ground. And yeah, look, there's no doubt. Like if they go 4-2, I think that's very good. I could see them being even better. Like I think 5-1 is viable. Just seeing that, like I feel like the offense will improve.
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly.
So I feel like if the defense can play, they don't have to be number 1 in the league, but if they're a top 7 defense, like that's very, very good.
I mean,
so
you got to remember,
they're in good shape there.
You got to remember what a break the Saints got, and I mean, I don't mean to harp on this, but the fact that Alvin Kamara only got 3 games, which was an absolute Christmas gift. You want to talk about Saints fans talking about how the NFL hates the Saints? Well, if they hated the Saints, Alvin Kamara would have got a lot more than 3 games.
He would have got 6. They cut it in half, and they basically, because he went up there and was contrite to the commissioner's face, and I think they said, okay.
Early Christmas gift is what I call it. Chris says he's not worried about Green Bay. He's worried about the Saints offense not producing points. The kicker has 18 points out of 30. It's a little early. I agree with Larry. I think you're talking about a team that's playing with a new quarterback. Basically, Trevor Penning is new at left tackle. I'm not taking up for obviously. I'm not taking up for Trevor.
What?
Penning.
You're not?
I mean, obviously. But there's a bunch of whole new pieces. And again, I think when Kamara comes back, it's going to make a world of difference because that actually, I can't wait to see when Kamara comes back how Taysom Hill is even more involved and is going to be more dynamic and do some different things. We'll see how it works out. All right, we're going to come back. We got a new commenter here. We're getting healthy. AK back next week. Efon says Miller will be back this week. Jamal Williams can rest up and get ready for the long haul. Yeah.
I need to see Kendra Miller actually be on the field before I make any kind of judgment. I don't care about one good preseason game that I saw.
I agree.
He can't even prove that he can be on the field yet. So I have no expectations for him. I need to see it to believe it.
All right. We're going to spend 5 to 7 minutes here on NFL Week 3, and we're going to come back to the Saints and wrap up the show with our picks, with our Saints-Packers picks. But as we've been doing every week, Larry Holder of The Athletic, who covers the NFL, The Athletic, going to talk about the week. And I know you've gone through your list and you've made your picks. What on this list stands out? I know it's a little boggled up. I had to do some quick change in here in the last second. We got the Sunday night game is kind of like stuck in there, Pittsburgh, Las Vegas, because there are 2 Monday night games. It ruins my whole schedule here. But
can I say I hate the 2 Monday games over?
Yeah, I don't like that either. I don't understand why they're doing that. I mean, I think they're just trying it out and seeing what sticks. But it's okay to do it 1 week, but do we have to do this 2 weeks in a row? I don't know if we're doing this. I think this is the last week they're doing that. But
well, it at least spared America from watching 2 back-to-back brutal games instead of you had to flip from one to the other because both games were not good.
No,
neither were good.
While we got some comments while I put this up, Nathaniel says Saints offense obviously struggling. If Jameis Winston was the quarterback, he would get the blame. Well, I don't know that anyone would get the blame right now because, like Larry said, they're 2-0.
Right.
But I don't disagree that people would feel if this were the exact same offense with Jameis Winston in there, there would be a lot more hate. I would just say that. Barry wants to know, is Love the best quarterback the Saints have played so far?
Yes.
You think so? You think he's better than Tannehill?
Tannehill, There's a reason why he had a 28 passer rating. I mean,
Yeah.
come on. And the
Well,
Chargers defense,
but
the
they
Chargers
beat the hell out of
defense,
them.
everybody throws on them.
Yeah.
I mean, Tua, I mean, look, do I think Tua is like a top 10 quarterback? Yes. Do I think he's like the number one quarterback in the league? No, but the Chargers made him look like that. And then they made Tannehill look good. So yeah,
I don't know, man. My know-it-all son says that the Miami offense is the best offense in the league, hands down, he says.
Well, I think part of that is that his offensive line is protecting him a heck of a lot better, and they're able to get some sort of run game. I mean, Raheem Mostert's back to Raheem Mostert from like 4 years ago all of a sudden, but he gets hurt like every year too. So who knows how long that lasts?
Well, we're starting a new segment here on my show. It's stuff my son says. We're using stuff in parentheses. Charles says Taysom Hill is a crucial offensive weapon, even though his presence in the backfield signals run. Should Carmichael work in more plays or pass plays for him, or not fix what's broke?
I'm sure at some point he's going to throw it. I mean, he's
he did
done
it once last week.
Right. And why you at some point you do it. But here's the thing. If he's being successful, run the football, I would not change that unless he keeps getting stuffed. And to me, it seems like it works. And yet you probably aren't going to have to use him as much after this week because you'll get Kamara back. And, you're hoping Jamal Williams comes back sooner than later. And if Miller can stay on the field and you have more options back there. I feel like they're having to do it more because they don't have as many options, really hardly at all.
I found it interesting that, even though Carolina knows the Saints offense, it's a little different with Carr, but it's not that much different. You put Taysom in and they still couldn't figure it out. I mean, this is a division opponent that's seen this dozens of times and they still don't get it. I mean, I don't understand why they wouldn't pick that up by now, but whatever.
Well, Shaq Thompson getting hurt probably didn't help.
Yeah, no, of course. All right, let's go to this week again. We're going to finish the show with our Saints Packers predictions. My official prediction. Larry, what do you see on this list that you like? Give me a noon game first that you like the most, that you're looking forward to most.
I feel like the noon games are not super appetizing. I think Saints Packers. Look, I think that would be good.
I agree.
If you're going to pick one out. I am curious to see Chargers Vikings. Someone's going 0-3.
Yep.
I think that is going to be
done.
Yeah, I think that is good. That's a toss-up game. You could see both quarterbacks getting hot, and that could be a high-scoring game. But the Vikings might turn it over 700 times like they have every game. Kirk Cousins' numbers are awesome, and yet they can't even put points on the board. I mean, he had 4 touchdowns last week. Like, his numbers were awesome, but whether it's him, Sack Bumble, or the rest of his teammates, that's dude, Minnesota, that's a tough one. I'm curious about Bills Commanders. I want to see if the Commanders
they get their asses kicked.
I don't know. I've seen the Bills.
This line is going down. It was 6.5. It's now 6. I find this interesting. I don't understand why people are buying into the Commanders. You can tell me better, but Sam Howell is not an NFL quarterback. I'm sorry. Give me a break.
Technically, he is, and he's playing better than some of the other people that were in his draft class, and then there are people beyond that. So, this is like Sam Howell's 4th, 5th start. So he's essentially a rookie, and the fact that the Commanders are winning with him. Hey, and the Bills. Sometimes
who did they beat? Arizona, and they beat the hapless Paytons last week, who let them back into that game.
Not Sam Howell's fault.
No, I'm not blaming Sam Howell, but they play a real team this week. They're going to
Atlanta, Detroit's going to be good too. That's going to be is the Falcons defense for real?
Yeah.
Is the hype again on the lines? Like, they just came back, lost a game. Falcons are 2-0.
That's that might be the most intriguing game of the day. Atlanta, Detroit. Detroit's banged up a little bit. I hate to like Atlanta in this game because I don't want to, but I mean, I like Atlanta. I think Detroit's banged up. I also think Detroit. I think both of those teams are overrated. I know everybody's talking about Atlanta being the second best team in the division. I still don't believe that. I still think we'll find out.
Straight up, I took the Lions. I'll just tell you that. I just feel like they got some They got some offensive power still, and then Falcons on the road. I think the fan base is still going to be jacked up, and even though Detroit's defense isn't super great, uh, I don't know. I just feel like the Lions can bounce back, and the Falcons are due for a loss.
Yeah. Well, Chris says coaching is key with Washington. I know Chris and I disagree on he likes Washington, but I agree that coaching is key. And I don't think that coaching is any good. I don't understand why everyone loves Eric Bieniemy, and there's a reason why he can't get a head coaching job, because he's not that good of a coach. He keeps getting turned down, and he's going to take over that Washington team at some point, and they're not going to be any better. Just saying.
I don't know if I'm agreeing
You
there.
don't have to agree.
I know. Obviously, you and me disagree all the damn time on this thing.
But we agree a lot of times, though. we agree a lot more. But I think that Buffalo is going to come out, and they got something to prove.
They definitely do. I mean, they went out and laid the smackdown last week. I think they need to get people back on kind of the Bills bandwagon, because after the way they finished last year, and they lose week 1 to the Jets in that crazy scenario. And so, I think the Bills have something to prove. And, but I do think that's an intriguing game. I'm curious to see how that goes.
In case you missed yesterday's pod, our best bets pod with Uncle Big Nick, my bet of the week is, if you don't know what a teaser is, it's basically a parlay, but you get a gift of 6 points for both sides that you pick, but you have to get both right, and it costs $12 to win 10. And any multiple that you want going forward. Buffalo even is the first part of the teaser. I think that's free leg of a teaser, because Buffalo is going to win that game. And then Baltimore -2 against Indianapolis. I think the Ravens they're going to establish themselves with Cincinnati's problems. Baltimore having a chance now to really take kind of charge early. Man, it's going to be tough to beat them in the AFC North.
Well, you see Lamar Jackson's getting comfortable within that new offense. I think,
he's got a lot more weapons.
Yeah, week 1 was a bit of a struggle. I mean, look, the Bengals defense, I think, is pretty good, but they were able to win that game. But no, I think you saw a more comfortable Lamar Jackson.
I agree.
And so, he's got a new weapon with Zay Flowers. Look, Mark Andrews is back in the mix, and they're going to they could still run it with the backs they have, even though Dobbins is hurt. But I feel like there's more of a comfort there for him. So, and then you're looking at what's going on in that division. Like, Pittsburgh is not as good as I thought. Kenny Pickett would come out and play better this year, but a lot of that, I could tell you, people in Pittsburgh pointing the finger less at Pickett and more at Matt Canada. Oh, have we heard that before? Down here?
Right. So, in Baton Rouge.
I mean, he couldn't get it done at LSU. I mean, how do you get promoted up and go be the OC?
Yeah, I don't know, because you have a great running back in Najee Harris, and I think a potential superstar in George Pickens. I mean, so to me, that they should be really good on offense, but you're right, they're not.
Well, they're banged up on defense too. I mean, Hayward's hurt, and he's your Cam Jordan of that group.
Yeah,
been there forever, same draft class. And then Cleveland, like Deshaun Watson,
he's going to be okay. I'm
waiting. It's 8 games in to his starting career with the Browns, and no Nick Chubb anymore. I'm waiting.
That hurts. But getting Kareem Hunt back really helps them. I predicted before the season that Cleveland would win the division. I'm not ready to change my mind yet, but I do think it's going to be a 2-team race between Cleveland and Baltimore. I don't think Cincinnati starting slow is a fluke. I said it before. Joe Burrow missing training camp basically with the calf injury is going to hurt them. Cincinnati's in trouble. It looks like he's going to play this week because this line keeps moving towards the Bengals. So somebody knows something that Monday night game, but we'll see. I like the noon games, Atlanta, Detroit. I'm really looking forward to that one. Then the late window, there's really not much to look at. My upset of the week, though, and I know you're going to disagree with me, and I picked this before I knew Andy Dalton was starting, but I'm not going to break away from it now. I think Carolina goes to Seattle and wins that football game.
I think that could happen there. Like, this actually might be beneficial randomly for Carolina. I'm taking Seattle because I think, Geno Smith, I think he's on the roller coaster ride. I think he's going to ride the hot streak. So I think that they're going to get it done. But I do think that having Andy Dalton in that environment will be more beneficial than Bryce Young. Because look, Seattle's defense isn't great, but I'm putting a little bit more faith.
Good.
Yeah, it's not good. It's so yeah. I was being nice, but yeah,
Uh,
So I could see that. I didn't really pick too many upsets. The only upset I'm seeing that I picked that is money line upset
yeah.
is Pittsburgh. I'm taking
Okay.
Pittsburgh to win in
I
Las
like
Vegas,
that. I
and it's
like
not a
that.
big upset, but
I like
it's
that.
but yeah, but I feel like when I made the pick I picked Minnesota to beat the Chargers, and I thought that was pretty even when I made that pick. I don't, but like I had to turn in my picks Tuesday, so who
Yeah.
knows? Yeah, so it's
Me
just
too. And we're switching that next week. We're starting. I'm gonna be releasing them on Thursday morning instead of Wednesday morning. So
I
that'll
might have just teased what I'm going to pick for Saints Packers
that's okay. I actually I
with my
like
statement.
if I had to I like besides Carolina, I also kind of like Tennessee a little bit this week.
I could see that just because Cleveland, they're probably pretty bummed out. Now Cleveland's defense is pretty
Absolutely.
good,
And
no doubt about that.
don't
But yeah, like Tennessee could win a grinded out kind of a game because it's been kind of ugly for the Browns, even though they're 1-1.
don't be surprised if the fighting
Oh,
Peyton.
I take that back. I picked Tennessee. So there you go.
There you go. All right.
I
Don't
didn't.
be
It didn't just change. I'm like looking. I've just misread. So I did pick Tennessee in an small upset.
don't be surprised if the fighting Peytons in desperation mode beat the Dolphins.
Man, I just there's no me. I feel like Russell Wilson's numbers are just
There's no.
empty.
I agree with that. I'm not saying they're going to be good this year. I don't think they're going to make a comeback, but I think in this game particular, Peyton is all over their asses this week. I think the defense is going to play lights out. Vance Joseph might be coaching for his job this week.
Well, that's the problem. I mean, if he's given up 30-something points to Washington, you don't think Miami can put that up? Come on.
Maybe. Lastly, Monday night. I don't really like the Rams-Cincy game at all. Either way, I don't know if Burrow is playing for sure. Even if he is, I don't know how effective he's going to be. I'm going to tell you this. I think Philly rolls the floor with Tampa Bay. I think Philly is going to steamroll the Bucs by at least 2 touchdowns. That team is a complete mirage, facade, whatever you want to call them. And the defending NFC champions are just going to bum rush Tampa Bay this week.
You're not buying into Baker? Come on. Baker, let's go. Mike Evans dominating.
Not doing it. Not doing it. You made a pick
I
for that
have
one?
Philadelphia winning this game, but yeah, well, Philadelphia's won 2 games, and their offense, look, they just ran in week 2, rightfully so, because they could. But it hasn't been super crisp in the passing game, and I found that game funny. That all of a sudden AJ Brown throws a tantrum, then Jalen Hurts feels like he's got a 4-speed, and it took him offline, and that's when you tell AJ Brown, go sit down. We're going to run the ball the entire time because we can. Like AJ Brown's not playing for a contract. Zip it. Dude,
I agree.
So I found that bizarre. But yeah, I think Philly, they're just getting started. Like I
agree
because I'm a big Jalen Hurts guy. Just seeing what he was able to do, he improved everywhere, and I don't think he surprised me as a pro. He really did. But no, I don't think he's a fluke at all. I think he's exactly what teams want to find in quarterbacks these days.
Well, he's my fantasy quarterback and has been for 3 years, so I'm pretty cool with that. Last one before we go back to the Saints and make our Saints pick. Chris says Chiefs and Cowboys minus 12.5. It just seems too easy, and I'm going to tell you why that's probably not a good idea, Chris, because you had the double-digit favorite covering last night. I'm going to have to go back and look, but I don't know. It's probably been years, and I mean lots of years, since you've had at least 3 double-digit favorites, and they all covered. It just doesn't happen in the NFL all that often. So I think one of those games, and really, if I had to pick one, I think Arizona is going to cover against Dallas. I think Dallas is going to win. Trayvon Diggs being out for the season is a bummer for the Cowboys. I think it could emotionally affect them. I do not like I don't think Dallas is going to steamroll Arizona like many think they could or will. But I think Kansas City rolls over Chicago. I think
I would say the same thing. I think Arizona. Look, Josh Dobbs actually had a pretty good game last week. I do think no Diggs that's gonna be a problem.
No diggity.
When you have teams that can finally slow down the pass rush of the Cowboys. I'm not saying Arizona's it, but yeah, I could see the Cowboys winning. I don't know, What's the spread? Like I could see him winning by
12.5.
I could see him winning by 10. Like
Yeah,
something.
I think
The
that's.
Bears are a total dumpster.
I agree. And
Kansas
not only
City
that,
might win by 30.
and the reason why I really do like Kansas City this week is because they have yet to play a good game. I think they're ready to come out and say, you know what, we're playing against a terrible defense. We're playing at home. Let's smoke the Bears, because I think this is they could win like 37-10.
Chris Jones might have like 5 sacks. You think that dude is motivated because he's still ticked. He had a good game last week against obviously a better opponent in my eyes with Jacksonville. Made life not fun for Trevor Lawrence. And Justin Fields, he's running around. He wants to run around and play schoolyard ball all of a sudden. Hates his coaching staff.
Yeah.
Kansas City.
I don't know that I've ever heard a guy. I mean, I guess it's happened. I just don't realize it. But man, you don't go out and blame your coaches. If I'm his coach, and I'm not kidding. And I know I'm old school, so that's why I can never coach anything today. But if one of my players says that, I don't care who you are. You're sitting for at least a game. Shut the hell up.
Well, then the coach will certainly get fired because they're worse.
They get fired anyway.
Well, they
get fired. I might as well do what I want.
They're worse off without him. But Justin Fields isn't wrong. Sorry, he's not wrong.
About what?
The
coaching?
Yeah, he's not wrong. I feel like they have not given him what he needs to be a successful quarterback in the NFL.
But he's not good.
If we've seen him with actually, like if he played for the Saints, I bet you he'd be even the same. Like they would be better.
He'd be running for his life with the Saints.
Well, he would be running for positive yards, not running in circles and from behind. Behind the line of scrimmage.
When's the last? Who's the best ever Ohio State quarterback?
Does Joe Burrow count?
No, he does not.
Why not?
He doesn't.
He's got a diploma from there, right?
He doesn't count. He never played for Ohio State, but what?
Was it the guy who went to jail for gambling? Who's that guy?
Art Schlichter.
Yeah, was he the best one?
Maybe. They don't have any, is my point. Ohio State is where quarterbacks go to die in the NFL.
Well, Alabama used to be that way. It was like Joe Namath and then nobody for like 50 years, and then all of a sudden they got some.
They didn't Kenny Stabler. I was going to say Kenny Stabler played at Alabama.
All right, 45 years. Okay.
Well, man, I'm 55 years old, so I remember.
43. Hey.
All right, let's make our Saints Packers pick before we go off the air. We're having so much fun here on Dattitude. Every Friday we do this. Come join us, 10 a.m. And if you like what you see, you can go hear my monologue after. I'll tie this on to our pod here. Go search for podcast Dattitude wherever you get your podcast. Coming on after this, Larry, Saints and Packers on Sunday. I think we both have kind of alluded to the way we feel about this game. I'm going to let you go first and give me a prediction and a score, and I'll put some other predictions on the screen while we're doing it.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Packers in this one. I just feel like on the road, the Saints aren't putting enough points on the board, and I think the Packers defense, like I said, that pressure percentage number, not good if you're the Saints offensive line. They're able to get it done. Rashawn Gary is really kind of working his way back into the mix. And if the Green Bay gets maybe one of the two weapons we talked about back, you get Watson back or Jones, like we said, I think Watson is more leaning to play rather than Jones. I just feel like it's going to be close. There's a reason why the spread is what it is. But I'm going to go, let's go Packers 21, Saints 20.
Man, it seems like we've done this before. I'm going to have to get some of the old clips back again. I always have fun when I bring the old clips back. Shocker. We're on the opposite sides, which is, I don't know if it's probably good for the Saints because usually we're on the same side. We're wrong. So, although I think we both picked the Saints to beat Tennessee, right?
We both picked them to win
Tennessee. I picked them to lose last week.
Oh,
yeah. So,
who are you?
I don't know. Anyway, I think the wrong team is favored this week. I think the Saints are better than the Packers. I get that it's at Lambeau. I think the Packers, if they don't have Aaron Jones, I really like the Saints. And if they don't have Aaron Jones and Christian Watson, I'm going to actually bet on it. It's not one of my best bets, but I think the Saints win this game. I think the way they've been playing defense, they are going to pressure Jordan Love as much as the Packers defensive front is going to pressure Derek Carr. But I will say this. At some point, if Trevor Penning can't do any better, if you're right and you talk about this rush, and look, I'm beating a dead horse. I don't care. They've got to do something. You can't just keep shifting over a fullback. Adam Prentice isn't supposed to be playing 30 snaps a game because he needs to help the left tackle that couldn't block you or I. I don't understand this at all. Anyway, I think it's going to be a little bit higher scoring than usual, that being said. We'll see if Kendra Miller does anything. The way Chris Olave has been playing. And Michael Thomas has been a very pleasant surprise along with Rashid Shaheed. I like the Saints receiving core, the way they've been playing, Larry. I'm going to say Saints 24, Packers 20, which would be slightly over the 42.5. So this will be the most highest scoring game of the season so far. And if the Saints win this game, they're not going to lose to Tampa Bay. I'll give you a little heads up. They're not going to lose to Tampa Bay in the Dome. Saints started 5-0 in 2013, Larry. They're trying to keep that streak alive so they can match that in a couple of weeks.
I remember that, the old Rob Ryan days. He still got a tab open at Miss Mays. Come on. Unpaid.
I don't think why are you giving that guy such grief?
He's just a big bluster. Come on. It's.
I love when you get on Rob Ryan.
He's just a big bluster. What? Come on. Obviously,
he had fun when he was here.
Well, yes, he was fun for like a year, and then he's gonna say, "Oh, Sean Payton made me change the defense to Legion of Boom. That didn't work. This, that, and the other." Well, guess what? The defense got better when Sean Payton brought Dennis Allen in, and look, the defense has been good, really, from 17 all the way to now. So I think Dennis is a better hire, but Dennis wasn't available then, so he went and got Rob Ryan. Whatever.
Just for you, I'm gonna have to break out. I'm gonna have to break out my old goodbye to Rob Ryan when they fired him on that bye week, and we called it the bye week on the Black and Gold today, and we had this like teary kind of goodbye.
I don't remember it. You're gonna have to bring it back. I remember covering the game at the Picayune for that, and everyone in the locker room knew it was bye. they all the players knew.
That was actually the start.
To see a change
that was the real start of the Dennis Allen era.
Absolutely.
And honestly, I don't think anyone can deny this. The Saints defense have continued to get better and better and better and better since that day. And that was 8 years ago?
Yeah, that was in
2015, right?
2015, yeah.
So anyway. Well, it's been a lot of fun today, Larry. I tell you what, let's do this again next week.
I'm willing to bet we will.
All right.
See what I did there? Boom.
I did. Money line is like minus 600 that we'll do it again next week. All right. See you next Friday. Enjoy the weekend.
I bet against it and then, not sure.
No, because sometimes you're right, especially when we're on the opposite side. Let's see, we're on the opposite side. One of us can be right, one of us can be wrong. You can. I hope I get to text you and tell you how right I was for a change.
I'm not going to gloat. I just think it's a tight game. It might come down to one mistake.
All right. Well, maybe the readers will gloat. Anyway, we will be back next Friday. In between, again, go search wherever you get your podcast. Dattitude. I will add my monologue, and we'll see what song we're going to close out with this afternoon or this morning, I guess, by the time I don't know, whenever we put it up. Monday, I'll be back with Derry's Dime and tell you what I thought about Sunday's game, and we'll do it all over again next week. For Larry Holder, I'm Jim Derry. Peace and love, my friends. We'll see you next week. Have a great weekend.